All right, everybody. Welcome. This is Dillard on Teen Talk Live, and we are coming to you from the Pond City Market, downtown Atlanta.
It's nice here too.
It is really nice. And today I have a really special guest, and this is Miss Marquita Johnson. Yay, Marquita. I'm so glad we finally got a chance to meet.
Absolutely.
We've been following each other through Black Therapist Rock, and just excited to know you and to connect in person.
Absolutely.
So this is your millennial coach, dating coach.
Yes.
Marquita, and today we're talking about how to transition our teens, because that's a hard process.
Right.
And the title we chose was If You Hover, You Will
Smother. Right. Figuratively and literally too.
I know, right? Okay, so come on and join us and let us know that you're here with us. Yes, thank you, cousin, for joining, and make sure you share. Hey, Val. Hey, Harold. Thanks for joining us, and we're gonna try to address your questions as we go through.
Right.
So drop us questions and share so other people can be in on this live. Again, this is Dillard with our special guest, Miss Marquita Johnson, the millennial dating coach, and this is Teen Talk Live, where we transform the lives and minds of teens and those who love them. All right, so tell us about yourself. How do you serve the world?
Well, I get to do what I love. And, for me, that's helping individuals understand that healing is available for them. Being a therapist just by nature and by trade, I've found that a lot of people just struggle with life. We all have problems. We all have issues. We all have our stories, our life stories.
Right.
And sometimes we just don't know how to make sense out of those life stories. A lot of things get all jumbled and they pile up on each other. And then we don't know where to start. They snowball they snowball till they get to this point of being overwhelming. Right. And like I always say, it's kind of like eating an elephant. Like, where do you start? Do you start at the ears? Do you start at the feet? Where it gets to a point where it's just like that. And so I've learned by working with millennials that they're in this kind of different place in life. Like, they have to figure out a lot of things very quickly. Like, who are they going to love? What are they going to do with their lives?
That's right.
How are they going to be successful? They have the pressures of their parents, the pressures of the world, the pressure of their friends. They have the internal pressure, culture pressure.
Yes.
The external pressure is real. It's serious.
Yes.
So they have all of that going on, and oftentimes they find themselves lost because they're like pulled in all these different directions.
That's right.
So that's why I'm here to help them, like, make some sense out of their lives. And it's a beautiful time in their lives because they're so open to so many things.
That's so true.
In working with that and college students, I found that there are a lot of systems at play. Their parents, like, they really care about what their parents think. Even though their parents don't think so, they are really concerned about, pleasing their parents and being that good child and, being successful. So I want to deal today and focus more on how to make that transition with your teens. Like, if you have a teen that's kind of in that stage of transitioning, how to do so and how to have a good, healthy, strong relationship with them without smothering them. And that can be hard for a parent. I'm a parent myself, so trust me, I know the struggle.
The struggle is real.
It is real.
It is real. It's something because I'm a parent of millennials.
Oh,
yes. My daughter is 28, and we have an older son. He's 35, but my daughter is, I think, or maybe 36. My daughter's 28, and our son is 26.
Yep.
And
you have
so,
two millennials.
Yeah, and then we have a 20-year-old.
Oh, three.
Right?
Ooh, and so 3 for 3.
I know, but I know that there are certain pressures that I even bring to the table. We have this family joke, like, I want to have 5 grandkids by the time I'm 50.
Oh.
Did I say that out loud? But you know what? The bottom line is for them to be healthy, for them to live their best life, and for them to do what they love. And if grandkids come, I got 3 already.
Oh, so you're doing good. So
it's possible, right?
So
no.
if any of Anne's children are listening, you
no
hear her.
pressure. No pressure. This is what we're talking about today.
No pressure.
All right. So tell me some more about how do we do this transitioning? It's really difficult because, even being a therapist myself, listening to millennials talk about the commitment they have to their parents.
Right.
And like I was talking to one young man and he was saying, well, it's cultural that I do this, that I do that I should be married by now, that I should have children. And in some culture, it's okay that your parents pick your spouse.
Right.
Absolutely. And so and how do you incorporate that in the American culture where you're embracing something different, but you still want to be accepted by your.
And that's an identity crisis essentially. And I've worked with a lot of students, international students that are living here and their parents are living back home. So very different situations, like different cultures. And they didn't really have an idea. Their parents don't know what their life is like here. And they felt like they had to hide a good portion of that because they didn't feel accepted at home. They don't feel really accepted here. So it's like, where do I fit in? My identity is kind of in a crisis, essentially.
That's right.
And the best way that I like to describe this is putting boundaries in place. So I would teach them about how to talk and communicate to your parents, because one thing about it is your parents want to be in your life.
That's right.
So ultimately, they'll begin to accept the boundaries that you begin to communicate to them because they want to be a part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask any parent, do you want to be a part of your life, your child's life or not, they're going to say yes. And most children feel like if they tell their parents their ideas or their thoughts or their beliefs that they'll, abandon them. Right. They may have some pushback, because parents have this idea of what they want their child to do, what they want their child to be like. But a part of that is the parents' own stuff. So you have to deal with your own issues. And
you just stepping all over my toes right now. Let me tell you.
I know it all too well because my son is 9. So I have a little while before he gets to that stage of getting off to college and things like that. But even now I work on transitioning him because I want him to walk. Like, I can't walk for him. Even when he was a young toddler learning how to walk, he fell down. I was there to pick him up. I was there to, dust him off and kiss him and say, baby, let's do it again. He didn't give up on walking because he knew he had to learn how to walk. I couldn't walk for him no matter how much I wanted him to walk. And it's that same way now. We can't walk for our children. No matter what you do for them and how you may coddle them, eventually it's going to hurt them more so than help them.
Wow.
Yeah. So you want to teach them how to walk. You want to be there to dust them off and pick them up when they fall, when they scrape themselves. You can't walk for them. You want them to be independent.
That's hard. That is hard because
it's hard but true.
It is true. It is true. Let me take a minute and acknowledge our guests. Hey, welcome everybody. Miss Marquita, I'm so glad you have joined us. Oh my goodness. I'm glad you're here. Dwayne, thank you for joining us. Erica, I'm glad you're here. And then my cousin is here and Val is here too. So yes, say something so that we know that you are here. Thank you for liking our session, Marquita, and share it so that other people can get some ideas about this. So today we're dealing with transitioning our teens in a healthy way, way. So share questions, share ideas and thoughts, and we will get them answered as we go through this life. So let's keep talking about it. So what else we need to know?
So one, we just dealt with the boundaries, which I think is a very important aspect of it for both the parent and for the child, because the parent has to lay down some boundaries too. Sometimes children are overstepping their boundaries as far as in staying at home and not being responsible, not taking care of their responsibilities. So it goes both ways. But again, you want the bird to fly. You need the bird to fly and leave the nest. It's necessary. It's a process and it's a part of life. Mm-hmm. So you want to encourage that, but you also recognize that your relationship will be different. So your relationship now and for your children, now that they're in their 20s, is different than when they were a toddler, when they were in elementary, middle school, high school. Right. So recognizing that the relationship will change. You can't have your baby at 20. Like, that won't be your 2-year-old. So you have to, as a parent, be able to let go of that idea, like, oh, this is my baby, and you're treating them like a 2-year-old when they're 20.
Exactly.
So if you do that, they're going to act accordingly.
But sometimes as parents, though, we send double messages, right?
Mixed messages.
We send mixed messages. We're like, stop acting so grown, and then we will tell them in the next breath, well, you better grow up. The world's not going to be easy to you. So we're sending these mixed messages all the time.
That's true. That's very, very, very true. So, and I think communication is at the key of that, is communicating with your children. I have, like I said, a 9-year-old, and we have open dialogue. I want him to be able to talk to me about anything, even if, like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know the answer to that. Let's ask Siri. That's always like, ooh, let's see what Siri says about that. But it's having that open dialogue so that, when there are issues that come up, that you all just don't start to walk away from each other in that relationship. The thing I like about a parent-child relationship is usually there's a lot of grace, there's a lot of love, there's a lot of mercy that's there. So I can appreciate that, because that opens up for forgiveness, it opens up for communication and conversation.
So. And that's a good thing, but then that's hard, because that's your child's example for real dating relationships, True. They might not get as much grace that mama or daddy will give them.
They may not. And I actually talk about that in dating. In relationships. So especially couples that have children or that have experienced having children in their lives, we treat adults sometimes like they know everything and they have it all figured out. And all of us come from different life stories, so we've had different experiences. So everybody doesn't have it all figured out to the point that you're there.
That's right.
Especially being a therapist, sometimes I can think that people should be where I am emotionally and mentally, and that may not be the case. So I do have to open that and broaden my horizons and offer that grace to people that may not be where I am emotionally. So, that's a part of just understanding that everybody won't be where you are, and it doesn't mean that they're right or they're wrong, but they're on a different path. And just because they haven't arrived to where you are now, you can still offer them a little grace and mercy with some boundaries. With a side of boundaries.
Serve it up with a side of boundaries.
Right. I like that.
All right. I like that too. With a side of boundaries.
I got to remember that.
Yes. No. So if you are listening, I want you to hashtag side of boundaries.
Side of boundaries.
Side of boundaries in here. Okay. All right. So what else do we need to know?
So as you're transitioning, oftentimes, again, I'm dealing with millennial, kind of the later in life. Make sure that you're offering them responsibilities earlier on, like chores and doing things around the house and taking on responsibilities. Sometimes as parents, we like things a certain way. I know for me, I like my bathroom's clean a certain way. I like the kitchen to look a certain way.
And you can do it quicker too.
And my son, though, that doesn't always add up, like how I like it and how he does it. There's a disconnect there. But you want them to get that experience and that responsibility and feel like they're a part of the team, which goes into teaching your children how to have a voice. That is so critically important. And knowing how to access their voice, even at a younger age, because sometimes when they don't know how to access their voice and know that they have until 18, and then you unleash it. And you don't know how to. I have students that go in class. They take those and advocate.
Okay, so I think we're back. We lost our connection here at the Pond City Market. We lost it temporarily, but I think we're back. I hope you're still with us. So we're talking about transitioning our teens and how important that is. And you know, the thing about Marquita says her son is complaining that the grandkids, you know, are stressing him out, right? Mm-hmm. And she said, well, that's payback.
I like that. I tell my son, I do the same thing. I say, you know, remember those 4 kids that you want? I said, I'm going to be right there. And I'm going to watch, you know, as your kids ask you the same questions that you asked me. And I said, I'm going to be there just looking at you like, sound familiar?
That is something. You know what? When I talk to a lot of parents, one of the biggest transitional points of their life is when they have to decide whether or not to let their kids go to college or hold them at home.
Right.
And that is so hard because I see parents putting themselves in their child and trying to live their dreams through their child, right? And the decision about whether they should let them go to college away from home or stay home and go to local colleges is usually more about the parents.
Right. That's true. And so I talked a little bit about that earlier. Is it your issue or is it the child's issue? So being able to own your own stuff as a parent is very important. You don't want to prevent them from growing and prevent them from learning just because you want them close. Because you could really be stifling their growth out of just wanting them to be your baby and wanting them to be around, because we all have to grow. We're not the same people we were yesterday or a year ago or thank God 5 years ago. I'm grateful for that. I appreciate that person because it's brought me to where I am now, but I had to grow, and you know, growing is painful. And as a parent,
it really is.
You can't, I think the hard thing is that you can't protect your children from all the pains of the world. And I think
you want to.
And you want to.
Trust me, you want to.
I'm Mama Bear, so I want to. Like, I think if I could put like bubble wrapping around my son and like protect him. I mean, he literally just got his first like serious accident where he fell off of a scooter because he didn't have a helmet going down a hill.
Oh my goodness.
And I was just like, and he's 9, so you can already tell like I had a bubble wrap around him, you know, pretty tight.
So did he kiss you and make it better?
I mean, he was really in pain. I've never seen him in pain like that. So I was and he was with somebody else. So I like rushed over. But, you know, afterwards, I was just like, it's going to be okay. You know, I said, this is your first bump. And, you know, thankfully enough, it wasn't so serious. But as a parent, too, they're looking at us and watching us emotionally and how we respond. I mean, we know that because they got that down pat. Children are very intuitive, so they pick up on our emotional climate that we have as parents, even if we never say a word. Like if I start feeling like I'm kind of like down, like my son will know. He'll say, "What's wrong with you, mommy?" Or "Is everything okay?" Like he has that intuition, kind of like animals, because right now their verbal skills are developing. So you do want to just understand that you don't want to bring your own issues and put them in front of your child and make them their issues essentially by holding them back or preventing them from achieving their goals. And we know what it was like growing up. Kind of how our parents may have done some things right and done some things not so right, and how that impacted our development. So you do want to be mindful of it.
It does impact our development. You know, when I'm coaching parents of high school students, one of the things that I said is, you know what, when they become a junior or stuff, start thinking about your life. What do things you enjoy doing?
Absolutely.
Right?
You get this other part of your life that you never even knew, like, wow, they're going to grow.
Get some friends.
Yeah, do some things. But I say always do that. Like even in my life, my son is a very integral part of my life. And I would even say the center of it. But my life has other things around it, because the thing about it is I don't want to build my life totally dependent on him for my identity, because oftentimes when we introduce ourselves and we're parents, we say, I'm such and such mom, or I'm such and such dad. That's a huge part of how we see our identity. So you want to make sure that you have other things going on in your life. So you're not stalking them at college, you know, showing up, knocking, you know, tracking them down, put GPSs on their phones and cars, because that's really some pressure. You know, that child is internalizing that and thinking like, oh, well, I got to be there for mom, or I got to make sure my mom is okay. So they get some, you know, mixed messages.
That's right.
And you want to make sure they have a healthy understanding of how relationships are formed, because you're building that foundation for them.
That is
and
so
that's
true.
important. So we're modeling that behavior.
That is so
we're
true.
modeling it for them. So, you know, we're their living examples.
Yes, and we're teaching them how to have healthy relationships.
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely. And I deal with so many millennials that don't have those relationships out of lack of communication. That's what I find. It's out of lack of communication. Just talking about issues and being open about some concerns and things that have happened in life. Like most people say, well, we just didn't talk about that.
Right.
And my comeback to that is I tell students is, yeah, my family always said, you know, why are you going to be a therapist? Like, we talk about our issues, you know, in our family. Nobody said anything because they knew it wasn't working. Like what they were doing, yeah, they were talking to each other, but it didn't solve anything. Right. It was just like we were talking. And now they're like, oh, you need to see such and such. Like, I got a client for you. I'm sorry, I can't see any family or friends.
That applies to me too.
Right.
Can't see family or friends.
But I got some referrals for you. Don't worry, I got you.
So Marquita says delaying college or technical training does not mean that one has to be idle. There's volunteering or community service or a job. Just can't stay at home and do nothing.
Yeah. I think that's important. And now, you know, we're in a culture where you can create your own job. You know, that's what I tell students. Some students feel like, you know, the college is the only way. And it isn't. You know, everybody has different paths. And I wouldn't want somebody to sit in the classroom that may be the next, you know, Steve Jobs, or if they got it and they know, go after it and get that support basis. But oftentimes people feel like there is this, I have to do, there's this list that I have to complete. And that gets them in a point of feeling stifled or feeling like they're trapped, you know.
And you know what? And I always look at the cultural piece too, because the young people have such they have such a diverse job field with social media and technology that they can make different choices. Now, like for me growing up, it's like you need to be on that job 25 years and you need to draw a pension from that. And the young people that I'm noticing, it's like that doesn't have to be their blueprint.
Right, yeah. And sometimes it's about understanding too that it really is a different times. Times have changed. Newsflash. Times are different. You know, I was raised what people would consider old school, like by my grandparents. So it was very like old school, very traditional. And they're tons of fun now. But then I didn't think so. Like I was like, y'all, okay. So yeah, but understanding that it is a different time and being open. That's why the communication piece is so important. You want to talk to your child about their dreams, their aspirations. You want to know what they're thinking and how you can help support them. Again, as a parent, your role is different at different stages in life. You shouldn't parent them the same way at, 13 as you did at 5 or 1 or even 20 and 25. There's a difference in a change to that relationship and being able to embrace that change and not push back on it because they're growing up whether you like it or not. So you want them to have those tools so that they can be successful in life overall.
And then the other thing about it is if you have multiple children, it's not like a cookie cutter parenting, and I had to learn that, but oh my goodness, it's not cookie cutter.
And that can be challenging because all of your children are different. Somebody once told me that they had multiple children. What they would do to invest in each child they would have one-on-one time, and I know that could be I can't even imagine. Again, I only have one. That's easy. But when you have 3, 4, 5, but they would spend and intentionally have some one-on-one time with each child every month. Like they would do something special, whether they would take one out to breakfast, another one they would go play baseball with. But I thought that was really interesting because it really got that relationship solid one-on-one.
Well, let's check in with our audience. If you are here and you have multiple children, tell us if you have one-on-one time with your children, because that is really, really good. because each child brings something different. And if you're just watching us on the replay, just do hashtag replay and still answer the questions. Do you have one-on-one time with your children, and how is that working? Because this is good stuff.
Yeah, and it can be a challenge because, again, as parents, we're, working. A lot of us have our own business, entrepreneurs, and, married. It's a lot, that you have going on. And it doesn't have to be like hours. It can be, 30 minutes. I think sometimes we make things like really, really big, but it's really about the, not necessarily about the quantity, but the quality of it.
That makes sense. Wow. Sometimes, with the stuff that I'm learning now, I wish I could go back and parent, because it's like, but I know the best thing to do is start where you are, right?
And you have those grandchildren too. So
I know.
I say I always wanted grandchildren, so I knew I had to have a child, It seems like grandchildren, you get to do all like the fun
you get to do the fun
with,
stuff.
The children. It's like you're building that foundation, and sometimes it can be fun. But what I learned is once I think I mastered one stage, like another stage is just around the corner.
Right there.
So I just keep myself open to it because my son is very interesting. He's an extrovert and I'm an introvert. So you can only imagine how that goes.
We have one extrovert in our family. Yes. Yeah. And that is quite interesting. Yeah, love him.
Right. And it's really about embracing your differences.
Yes.
And, also acknowledging the strengths that make you unique as a family, as a family unit, because that's so important in the relationships.
There is this one tool that I really, really like. I like the Strength Finders, the Strengths Finder. That's what it's called, right? Through Gallup, and you can go through and take the assessment on identifying your core strengths, your top 5 strengths, and I really, really like that. And I'm reading one of their books, and the thing that they were talking about is when we're working on our strengths, normally when you take, what we do is we try to improve the weakest strength. And their perspective is, don't try to strengthen the weakest strength. Try to build on your strongest strength.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Because if you are not analytical, don't try to be analytical.
That makes sense.
Focus your attention on what you are.
What you're already good at.
Right.
And increase that.
Increase that.
Yeah.
And that's the way. So if we did that for our children, imagine how amazing that that could be, because we are increasing and building on what they're already good at.
Right. Wow.
So I love that. So it's Strengths Finder. If you want to look it up, and I'll drop that in the comments later as well.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. So in closing, what is something that we can share with parents to help them to not hover? We've talked about, just kind of summarize. We've talked about boundaries. We've talked about communication. We've talked about dealing with your own issues as a parent and not putting that off on your child.
Right.
So what is like a wrap-up point that we can give to encourage their strength and hope?
Well, I think all of those kind of in summary would be, knowing when to let go, knowing when to actually allow your child to flourish and release. And I think that can be hard because as a parent, we don't want to let go all the time. So knowing when to let go and allow that child to really breathe and flourish. And that starts though now, like while they're, 2, 3, 4, like you can't wait until they're 18 and then say, okay, I'm letting it go. As a parent, I think that gradually starts as they're moving along in life, and it makes the transition easier for both, for you and for them, because you're not because you've been doing it all along. It's not like you feel like, oh, I'm just releasing them out into the world and I don't know if they're going to be okay. I don't, I'm afraid for them. I'm anxious. I'm concerned. I'm happy. I'm excited. There's all these emotions that are going on. And the child is experiencing those same things. Part of them is excited, but they're also scared. They're also like, what am I going to do? My mom is not right here. She may not be going to the doctor with me. She may not be going to the financial aid office with me. It's all on me now. That's a huge responsibility to feel and weight all of a sudden. So being able to do it a little bit at a time and relinquish that responsibility at a time And also having those conversations, like even now that you, Anne has offered this, when you hover, you smother, you know, talk to your child about that. Like go home and say, what are your dreams? What are your aspirations? Like, how can I support you? You know, as your parent, what can I do to help you achieve these goals? And to continue those conversations are always a good starting point, you know, just to continue to talk, and not in a way that you are, again, putting your own opinion as far as in, oh, I want you to do this. Like you really want them to do something. So you want to gently kind of encourage them. No, really leaving it up to them, asking them a lot of open-ended questions and letting them know that you do want to hear about what they think and that you do respect their opinion and what they think about, because then they're more apt to talk to you more and communicate more. You don't want them to leave and go off to college and just shut down all communication, like cease communication with the parents.
Glad to get away from mom and dad.
You want to continue that relationship, but as parents, we have to be open about it may look different than what we would expect it to. So
and I thought about, you know, how to transition my children and something simple like when we go to the doctors. You know, when they were like 8 and 9, I start having them fill out their own survey at the doctor's office
about how the visit
went, or about what their complaints, or is this your correct address? Is this your correct phone number?
I like
can do.
Give them that sense of independency and autonomy. They need that autonomy. It's necessary. And that's true. Like I think just this past weekend, I let Michael order the pizza, a little personal pan pizza, and I let him go in and get the pizza. I'm right outside. But I let him go in and I said, oh, it's taking you a long time. He was like, well, the guy said that I did make an order, and I told him this is the name, and that yes, my mom called in the order, and he said, so I waited. And then he let me check the pizza. So giving him that sense, like, I trust you. I think that's what that communicates is I trust you too with tasks. And not only that, I trust that you're able to handle it. So that's excellent.
And it's like, I'm right here. I got your back.
I have your back.
You know, I'm going to let you do different things that you can do. Like fill out their, their offering their offering envelopes at church. And, just doing little things that they. Helping the cook. And I remember teaching my son, the youngest one, how to wash. He was like 8 years old, and he was, loading and doing stuff like that. And he did it really well. So helping to transition them in ways like that, so that when it's time for them to move out and move on to another stage of their life, you're not, panicking about it.
Right. You're not panicking, and they aren't either.
They're not panicking.
Because they feel like they have that foundation that, yes, they may not know everything, but they do know something, and they can navigate it and they can learn it, because it's really a process. We all had to learn it too. We didn't have it all figured out. We still don't. We're still learning. We're still works in progress.
Absolutely. And let me see what Val said. We had a few more people that joined us. Thank you for joining, Janae. I'm glad you're here. I checked out your live last night. It was really good. Val said letting go can take the form of allowing them to feel competent, that their ideas and their solutions are good one. Oh my gosh, yes. The solution piece, that's really good.
That is.
And validating their opinions too.
Validate so that they recognize that their voice is important. Very important.
That is so good. Thank you, Tim, for joining us. Charles, I'm glad you joined us today. So we are wrapping up for our live session today, but how can our guests reach you, Marquita?
Absolutely. Yes, feel free to follow me. I'm on Instagram, Facebook at Millennial Dating Coach. That's also my website, Millennial Dating Coach. I specialize in working with millennials. So I love everything about them. I'm one myself, barely, but I made it. So they're at an interesting time, kind of cross-section in life where they're trying to figure out a lot of things. And I want to help them make some sense out of their life regarding relationships, regarding dating, and just overall, because relationships are intertwined through all parts of our life, our work life, home life, intimate relationships, friendships. We can't escape them. So we need to learn how to deal with them.
That's right. Okay, well, wonderful. And I'll drop your contact information in the comments when we are done. And I just want to thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Ann, for having me. It's a pleasure.
This is so
It
cool
was fun
that we connected this way. I am so excited to bring this to you, to bring these interesting topics to you. And if you have topics that you want to hear more about, just drop me a line and let me know, because I am in the business of transforming the minds and lives of teens and those who love them. And I want to hear from you. So let me know what you're thinking. Again, this is Ann Dillard with Teen Talk Live, and I thank my guest, Ms. Marquita Johnson, for being here.
It's a pleasure.
I thank you for being here with us. Let me know that you're watching. Thank you. Have a great day. God bless.